Welcome, everyone, to the Revolutionary Man podcast, to where we explore what it truly means to be a man of integrity, resilience, and purpose. I'm your host, Alan DeMonso, and today we're diving into a topic that every man, whether you're building a business empire or guiding your family through life's storms, must master. And so, in a world where the pressure to perform never lets up, how do we create a foundation strong enough to endure and to thrive? So, the answer is going to lie in the small, daily habits that fortify our spirit and sharpen our focus. These habits just aren't about survival. They're about the creation of a life that reflects your deepest values. So if you've ever felt the weight of stress pulling you down, this episode is going to be your blueprint to building unshakable resilience. What would your life look like if you had the resilience to overcome any challenge without losing the sight of your purpose? And are the habits that you practice today building the man you want to be tomorrow, or are they breaking him? Resilience isn't something that we're born with. It's something that we need to build in one day and one habit at a time. And as we uncover today, you'll see small intentional actions can really transform our lives in ways we've never imagined. And before we get into today's discussion, let's address something that many of us struggle with: the feeling of being out of alignment. The demands of life pull us in countless directions, leaving us overwhelmed, disconnected, and unsure of how to move forward. That's why I want to tell you about the Living with Integrity program. This isn't just any old program. It's a proven path to rediscovering your purpose, rebuilding trust in your relationships, and creating a future that reflects who you truly are. It's about stepping into the man you were meant to be. So if you've ever felt the feeling of frustration, stagnation, and uncertainty, this is going to be your opportunity to take action. I want you to go to members.theawakenedman.net and complete our free integrity challenge. It's the first step for you to take, and the rewards are going to be life-changing. Live with intention, leading with integrity, and starting it now. With that, let's get on with today's episode.
The average man today is sleepwalking through life, many never reaching their true potential, let alone ever crossing the finish line to living a purposeful life. Yet, the hunger still exists, albeit buried amidst his cluttered mind, misguided beliefs, and values that no longer serve him. It's time to align yourself for greatness. It's time to become a revolutionary man. Stay strong, my brother.
I want to break down all this idea of building and understanding resilience. And so just for us to remember that resilience isn't just about endurance. It's about adapting, it's about growing, and it's about thriving through our challenges. Resilience is often misunderstood as merely toughing it out or enduring our hardships, but true resilience is much, much more dynamic. It's the ability to adapt to difficult situations, to grow stronger from adversity, and to use these challenges as opportunities for personal growth and professional development. When I think of resilience, I think of it as a muscle. It requires consistent effort to strengthen, and it enables us to face the obstacles with clarity and confidence instead of fear and hesitation. And I like this quote: resilience is accepting your new reality, even if it's less good than what you had before. You can fight it, you can do nothing but scream and about everything that you've lost. Or you can try to put together something that's much better. That's from Elizabeth Edwards' book, Resilience: Reflections on the Burdens and Gifts of Facing Life's Adversities. But how do you build resilience? Well, for me, it's about looking at my habits, because they are the building blocks, truly building grit and resilience. So resilience doesn't just happen overnight, right? It's a byproduct, as we've talked about so far, is really a byproduct of a small, consistent actions that prepare our mind and our body for stress and for setbacks, because we know we're going to have those. Just like a strong foundation supports a building through storms, daily habits act as a framework to keep us steady when life gets tough. Whether it's practicing gratitude, maintaining physical health, or reflecting on our purpose, these habits create a reservoir of strength you can draw from when times get tough. James Clear always says the quality of our life is determined by the quality of our habits, and truer words have never been spoken. And so these habits are the building blocks of who we become as men. And so that leads me really to the third thing is that, and as we dived into building daily habits, but also about what does that actually look like in practice. And so morning routines are really popular and a great way to help us set the tone for the day, help us become much more intentional. So solid morning routines is one of the most effective ways for us to do that. And we can start with just a few minutes of maybe it's quiet meditation for you or mindfulness to ground ourselves to help us reduce anxiety. Maybe pairing this with some goal setting in the morning or a little journaling to help clarify what your priorities are going to be for the day. Then you're going to find out that as you do this kind of work, your day will be much less chaotic because you're going to feel like you've been prepared and prepared yourself, and the day becomes much, much more manageable. It's moments of intentionality that build the mental and emotional foundation that really fortifies our resilience on a day-to-day basis. You see, you win the morning, you win the day. That's Hal Elrod in The Miracle Morning. And I really believe that having some form of a morning routine truly helps us set this day and set the standard for who we are as we show up. You need to also practice managing stress so we can help maintain our focus for the most important things that we're taking on in that day. Managing stress is a daily practice, and it's not a reactive strategy. It really means that we need to figure out how to incorporate small, manageable practices when stress comes in. For me, it's things like deep breathing, regular exercise, and short breaks in my routine. Just getting up from my desk and going for a walk. Practicing a different way of changing our mindsets allows us to become much more resilient. And then we can come back more focused. It also means that we can be much more intentional with the time that we have in this planet. And so with less distractions, we can really hone in on the key, most important things that we're tackling for the day. Maureen Killeran says, stress is not what happens to us, but it's our response to what happens. And it is our response is the thing that we get to choose. But how about building emotional resilience? Because really, building emotional resilience is what we're talking about here. It comes from understanding and processing our emotions rather than suppressing them. And men, we tend to do a lot of that as repressing our emotions. So take a few minutes each day and let's reflect on how we're feeling and why we're feeling this way. What trigger has just been activated within us? Journaling is a way to do that. We talked earlier about taking a bit of a break. Getting the opportunity to call a brother, a friend, somebody that you can talk to help work through, a mentor that gets you through that point of extreme stress, an opportunity for you to really get honed in on what's important to you. Socrates always said the unexamined life is not worth living. And so we talk a lot about here in this work with the Awakened Man about what we can do to be more reflective so that we can prepare ourselves for much more powerful opportunities in life. And then let's also consider that there's going to be a ripple effect as we implement all of these strategies. See, there is a ripple effect as we build resilience, because resilience just doesn't benefit us. It also creates a ripple effect in all other aspects of our life. Resilience is a mindset, and it allows us how we can handle pressure with grace. Whether we're doing that at work or at home in our personal life, our ability to remain calm and focused under pressure sends a positive message to those around us. It gives assurance to them that you're a leader with integrity. And that becomes really contagious. And so this influence starts to seep out to other folks. And it challenges them to do the same when they're in the moment of pressure. And over time, resilience is also going to lead to really deepening the relationships that we're involved in and provide us also with greater professional success and a much more rewarding and fulfilling life, because we've built this foundation on trust, on clarity, and on purpose. And so Ralph Waldo Emerson always says, what lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. And I couldn't agree with that anymore. So let me tell you a little story about the power of consistency. There's a man, the name of Michael, and he's a 42-year-old entrepreneur, and he's juggling the demands of a growing business, a family of five, and a relentless schedule. Michael each day feels like he's barely winning the battle. He's exhausted physically, mentally, and emotionally. He knows he needs to change, but the thought overhauling his entire life truly feels overwhelming. Then one day, a mentor advised him to focus on small, manageable habits rather than grand, sweeping changes. So Michael decides to take the advice and he starts by doing three things. He has a 10-minute meditation each morning. He follows that by journaling one goal for the day. And he commits to 20 minutes of exercise 3 times a week. At first, these changes almost feel like it's just too small to matter. But he sticks with it. He wants to see, he's curious to see what's going to happen for him. Over the next month, Michael starts to notice a subtle but a profound shift. He's less reactive during stressful meetings. He's more present with his children, and he has a newfound clarity about his business goals. The power of these small habits begins to ripple outward, influencing every aspect of his life. Michael just doesn't feel like he's reclaimed control over his time. He also feels that he's reclaimed control over his emotions and his energy. So guess what? Michael commits to expanding these habits and gradually starts incorporating more practices that align with his values. That's the key part. His journey demonstrates that resilience isn't about perfection, it's about consistency. And each small action compounds over time, proving that even the busiest man can build unshakable resilience through intentional effort. So I got one more quote for you. Success is not final, and failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Winston Churchill said that during the most toughest and darkest times in World War II. How are some tips and some ways that we can practice having resilience? Let's start our day with intention. We can begin each day with a ritual that's going to clear our mind and set our focus, just like Michael did. This could be as simple as 5 minutes, maybe, of deep breathing or reflecting on the 3 things that you'd be grateful for, or starting your day with intention. But your primary focus should be on how it is you're going to handle challenge. And when you do this, you'll be able to have more clarity, more purpose, rather than just letting the day's chaos dictate to you what your life's going to be like. Of course, you need to exercise regularly, and this is a big one for me as well. Physical activity isn't just good for our body, but it's proven stress buster, and resilience is even better managed as we begin to exercise. You don't have to do a 2-hour or 4-hour exercise. 15-minute walk helps release endorphins for us. It improves our mood and reduces our anxiety. It's about consistent effort. This is what exercise will do for us, because it sends a message to our brain that associates a reward with our effort, because it reinforces our ability to push through discomfort as we're achieving better and better results. And of course, we always talk about reflection here. Because reflection is so important. How we need to take the time each day to reflect how the day has gone by. We don't need to spend lots of time here doing this. Maybe just write down 3 things that you did well, or lessons that were learned from any of the setbacks that you might have encountered that day. This practice helps us build self-awareness. And when we have self-awareness, we can reinforce a growth mindset. And it helps us approach our challenges with curiosity instead of feeling defeated. And we really want to be mindful of limiting our digital overload. How often are we spend time with our head down in this thing? Having a phone is great. And today, this technology is built to keep us distracted. And so set some boundaries around it by scheduling phone-free time each day, getting off the apps, shutting down any notifications that keep popping up to help you stay more focused, so you can build some resilience. And of course, building a support network is always important. And that's why with us here at the Awakened Man, joining a men's group, our band of brothers, is an excellent way for you to get an opportunity to surround yourself with like-minded individuals who are working towards living extraordinary lives. Some books that have really impacted my life and helping to understand what resilience is all about is Atomic Habits by James Clear, The Resilience Factor by Karen Rivech and Andrew Chate. And there's apps also to help us. If you're new to meditating, try Headspace for meditation, or even using Evernote if you really like the digital aspect, and using Evernote to practice your journaling. So resilience really isn't a mystery, folks. It's a result of intentional habits that strengthen our mind, our body, and our spirit. And it's by incorporating a few small practices that not only helps you prepare for life's inevitable challenges, but it's also about creating a foundation of integrity. And with purpose, it's going to guide you through each and every day of your life. So remember, resilience is built on one habit at a time. Now, as we wrap up, we talk a lot about living with integrity here, and we have a program called just that. So if today's discussion has sparked your interest inside and one desire to step into a stronger, more aligned version of yourself, then I don't want you to wait around much longer. Go to members.theawakenedman.net and take our free integrity challenge. This challenge is designed to help you to rediscover your purpose and take that critical first step toward a life of resilience, trust, and intention. The journey to becoming a man you're meant to be starts today. So why are you not starting? This link is going to be in today's show notes. So I want you to get out there, take on the challenge, and look supporting you in your growth as a man in your life.
Thank you for listening to the Revolutionary Man podcast. Are you ready to own your destiny? To become more the man you are destined to be? Join the brotherhood that is the Awakened Man at theawakenedman.net and start forging a new destiny today.